Hi, I wanted to do a quick review of the things that you would gain with California independence. Obviously, there's many things, but I'd like to list the top five that are most important to me. Actually, top six. So, the number one most important thing is your rights. You get to live in a place where your rights are secure. The Ninth Circuit Court is the federal judge district that oversees all California. So when California passes a law, any law that California has passed can be struck down by the Federal Circuit Court, Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit is two judges away from being completely conservative. The Ninth Circuit already struck down a lot of California laws because we always are highly innovative. And the Supreme Court had the highest amount of state laws overturned by any Supreme Court district was the Ninth Circuit overseeing California. That's when times were great. Now we're almost going to have a completely conservative federal court, and you can expect all of our laws to be struck down. And they can retroactively take laws that weren't passed recently and strike those down too. So the laws that protect California values could be removed, and there's nothing legally you could do about it as long as you're part of America. That's something you would gain if you were independent. You don't have to worry about your rights being taken away. Right now, you're damn close to that happening. I did a video about this months ago called All Your Rights Are About to Be Taken Away. It was interesting to see Bloomberg Magazine literally repeat last week everything I said 3 months ago. Here's the top five things that you would gain with independence. Number one, jobs. So California is a export economy. We sell things across the world, have since for about 500 years. Cell phones are not as bought or as popular in Asia and Europe because everybody believes that the federal government of America will spy on them. So Silicon Valley loses about $6 to $13 billion every year because we're part of America and we have cell phone and tech products coming out of Silicon Valley going around the world, and people won't buy them because they're afraid they're going to be spied on. So having an association with America costs sales. Number two, fruits and vegetables. A lot of people do not trust the FDA. They think that America's okay with pumping their food full of drugs. You know, Russia and China will not buy certain produce from America, not because of an embargo, but because they don't trust it. Europe won't either. So we're not able to sell all our fruits and vegetables abroad because, again, associated with America, horrible reputation. Additionally, tourism. You know, we have a lot of people who would not come to California because they don't like America. America is not as popular as it was. This is not just with Trump. The popularity of America took a real hit with the invasion of Iraq in the early thousands, and it never recovered. Now, the news tried to act like Obama did a great job getting people to like America again, and he did. But Obama never got America to fully rebound from the horrible international global massacre that the Iraq War was. The Iraq War destroyed the reputation of America around the world, and Obama never, frankly, fully fixed it. I don't blame the guy. I think he did what he could, but people were kind of like, well, you know, that's you, and the system did this. And also, nobody went to prison for the Iraq War. Nobody was investigated. You yourself, Obama, said you weren't going to do anything against any Bush officials for that. So Obama was kind of in on it. Secondly, around 2012, 2014, Obama said that the federal government doesn't spy on you, and that was a lie. Europe was very mad at America for lying to the globe and the American people about spying on them, and it turns out they did that. And that was Obama they were talking about. So these federal horrible image issues cost us money from our sales abroad, and we are heavily dependent on international trade. So, for example, the California economy is about 40% dependent on international trade, whereas the American economy is only about 10-15%. So this bad image really hurts us in a way it does not hurt America. Additionally, trade deals. Global California by Lowenthal. Global California was a book by a famous academic here in California, and it said we lose billions of dollars in trade because we have to wait a decade to get our trade deals approved. Governor Schwarzenegger criticized Obama and Bush for holding up trade deals for 5 years each. So if we're independent, trade happens right away, not 10 years later. All of our products are bought by every possible customer out there. That means more jobs. That means more jobs at cell phone stores, more jobs at cell phone distribution houses, more jobs in warehousing, shipping products out, more truck driving jobs, and more port jobs. Those are good blue-collar jobs. Good blue-collar, stable jobs returning to California and growing. We don't have an economic driver right now that's producing that for blue-collar workers. Everything's going white-collar work. So this would be a way to revamp solid blue-collar jobs for everyone in California. But it's only going to happen if you're independent. So, number 2, SALT. The federal government under Trump changed the federal income tax program. So, you used to be able to write off state and local taxes on your federal income tax so that your total tax burden wasn't so bad. Donald Trump changed that so that you can no longer do that. You can no longer do these state and local reductions as part of a lower federal income tax. Here in California, that's critical. A lot of our tax base comes from the wealthy. The wealthy own a lot of property. Property is a huge part of how people own and maintain and grow wealth here in California. The ability to do that and write it off on your taxes was removed with the Tax Reform Act of 2017. So everybody here who's wealthy and runs our economy and starts small businesses and pays the majority of the tax base is going to take a massive hit because SALT was removed. California tried to get around that, and the IRS said, no, you can't. You're going to be punished, and there's nothing you can do about it. So unless there's a major legal change at the federal level, which means this Republican Senate would have to approve, which isn't going to happen, then people in California who relied upon this SALT deduction are going to be horribly punished financially, and there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, moving on. Regulation. So if you're a small business owner, you have to file forms for everything. You have to file forms for filing taxes, for invoice, for making sure you met ADA compliance, etc. Everything the federal government regulates, California also regulates. So there's CalOSHA and there's OSHA, which is the organization that makes sure your business is safe and, has proper distance between the door stops and proper lighting. It's all the stuff to make sure nobody gets hurt. There's a federal agency and a California agency. They do the same thing. Why? Because California likes having more regulations than the federal government. The feds say, we want to regulate this much. And California goes, well, we want to regulate this much. What that means now is that every business has to do even more regulations for California and a total second set of regulations for federal. If California is independent, we just cut half, 50% of all regulations for every business in California. That's a boom for every business owner and for the economy. Also means more jobs. Income tax in California could be reduced 30% for everybody. So in California, we constantly talk about how income taxes are always going up, taxes are going up. What about saying income taxes were cut by 30% for everyone? Well, the fact is California subsidizes America so much and subsidizes the American military so much that the amount of money that it's wasting is huge. We could have a decent-sized military that's as strong as Israel or Canada. Israel is not a pushover country, to be clear. Just as awesome a military as them. And we would save so much money being independent, not paying all that extra money for bullets and bombs that we never believed in, and not subsidizing 35 states. We would save so much we could reduce California's total income taxes by 30% and pay for everything. So with independence, you could still have a sizable military. You could pay for everything and you could reduce taxes. That means nothing gets cut and your taxes get cut. All services stay the same. Schools could even get a little bit more money, and your income taxes could be reduced by 30%. So if you're somebody with wealth, and I'm talking about your state and local tax reductions are reinstituted when they're not, you get 50% less regulation on your business, small business, and you get 30% lower income taxes. That's huge. We've never had anything like that in California history ever. All of that's easily achievable with independence. Finally, the gas tax. Nobody really seems to like the gas tax. Well, this is one of my favorite stories. The gas tax raises about $20 to $30 billion over a 10-year period. We lost $13 billion in 1 year recently. If we were not a donor state, we could make up all of the money the gas tax will raise in 10 years in 2. We waste so much money subsidizing America. If we just didn't have to waste that cash in 2 years, we would have everything the gas tax was going to produce. We could eliminate the gas tax. We could lower your income tax 30%. We could lower your regulations 50%. We could allow you to have tax savings you used to enjoy. And we can increase jobs for blue-collar workers. All of that's easily possible with independence.